Good day, everyone. My name is Churongzhen, which is from Faculty of Computing, University Technology Malaysia. So I'm doing these presentations is for the subject research methodology on my research proposal titled Predictive Restaurant Survival Modeling Using Dynamic Aspect Level Emotions in Online Reviews. So in this presentation, I will cover first one, background and problem. Second one, literature and research gap. Third one, research questions and objectives. Fourth one is the methodology, and fifth one is the expected results. So let's come to the background and the problem statement first. So this thesis or this research is intended to solve the restaurants that have a very high attrition segment of hospitality. And then this is to predicting for the closure supports for the owners, investors, and the different platforms. So how this thesis is going to conduct is based on the online reviews records customer experience on the specific aspects, which is on food, service, price, location, and ambience. So the reviews not only carry the positive and negative polarity, but most of the reviews from humans, they carry emotional language as well. So this thesis is planned to cover this unexplored field, which is on the emotional languages. So the core claim of this proposal is, although the review contents predict the restaurant survivals, the emotional richness of the review haven't been exploited for this purpose. So the research or the studies so far that they are only study on the polarity, variance, and network structure, but not much research has been touched on the expect levels emotions. So this thesis is going to fill up the gaps. So this is how the previous researchers solved the problem. So for Lee and his team have gone through two kind of research which on different review signals, which is on the first one, expect sentiment polarity, and then the second one is the review variance and the sources. So their temporal treatment is based on the static dispersion. The outcome is also same as this research, which is on the survival on the restaurants. So next one is Tao and Zhou, which is focused on the aspect priority time series. Their temporary treatment is on the dynamic, which is the deep learning. And then their outcome is the closure of these restaurants. And then for Zhang and his partners, is based on the review network embeddedness, which is the temporal treatments using GNN, which is a dynamic methods, and the outcome is also using survivals. So Tamizelvi and his research partner is based on the review text, which is on the language model, and then the temporal treatment will be static. The outcome is the churn, probability of churn rate, and then the survivals. And then John and his research partner is on the aspect levels, emotions, and then the temporal treatment is also static. The outcome is the review helpfulness, which is on the how the review can help the restaurants to improve or determine how they're gonna to increase their revenues. So in this study, which is the my proposals will based on the aspect level of emotions, but my treatment will be on dynamic, which is the temporal features, and then the outcome will be the survival probability, which is based on the survival functions. So next we go to the research gap. So previously we can see that from the previous research, right, they are focused on the polarity but not emotions. So the survival model used the sentiment polarity statistics like Lee and his research partners, time series, variance, or network structures, but they didn't even none of them has been used the aspect level emotional expressions. But for second study is they use the emotion, but they do come up with different outcomes. So for example, John and his research partner measured the expect level emotions and showed its method, but for the review helpfulness field, not survival and not static. For Yon and the research partner, based on the link emotions to rate the prediction in the recommenders again, but not the survivals. So, and then third one is all of them, they didn't have a common comparisons. So each of the prior study used their own data set and single signals, the relative predictive values of the signals for the survival, but they didn't have even compared on the common data sets. So in this proposal, we'll come up with a new idea, which is we extract the expect level emotional expression from timestamp reviews from the per restaurant's temporal trajectories. And then we will use them to predict the survival rate, which is using the survival functions and benchmark against the polarity and the variance signals. So this research is able to contribute the first one, which is on the technique, which is the new technique on the dynamic aspect level emotions features for survival predictions. And then the second contribution will be on the domain, which is like comparisons on the common data sets of the review-derived survival signals. So here comes to the research question and objective. So we have 3 research questions, and then we will have 3 objectives to answer each of the questions. So for the first one is on how can the aspect level emotions be extracted from timestamp reviews and represented over time for the features for survival potentials. So for this one, we will extract the aspect level emotions and construct the restaurant's temporal features, level, and trend for each of the aspects. Second one is, does the aspect level emotion and its temporal dynamics improve the survival prediction versus the overall sentiments and static aspect priorities and review variance? Yes, so we will develop a survival model using dynamic aspect level emotions and benchmark it against the baseline on the common data sets. So the third one is which aspect level emotions, which aspect are most strongly associated with the restaurant survival is we identify the most survival associated aspect emotions through the feature importance analysis. So we come to the scope and significance. We have 5 W's and 1 H. So we start with the first W, which is the what. So why is this study is predictive survival study using the dynamic aspect level emotions? Then who is the target, which is the restaurants as a unit of analysis? So where will we be getting the dataset, which is on the Google review, TripAdvisor, or Kaggle datasets? And when is it, which we the previews are tracked over review periods, then the restaurant survival is observed based on the following period. Then why I do this is to test whether the emotional richness of the reviews beyond the priority carries additional survival signals. Okay, then how I do this? So this is a bird-based ABSA analysis. So you try to get the temporal emotion features, then we bring the items into the survival models to get the benchmark versus the priority and variance. So this is the research framework. So phase 1 is the data acquisition and labeling. Second one, we will go to the aspect level emotions and dynamic features. Then third one, we'll do the survival models. Fourth one, we'll do evaluations and analysis. So this is the big photo that how I'm going to carry out this research. So phase 1 is I can get the data by using Google reviews and then do a cleaning, tokenizing, or aggregates. Then after that, we will do the emotional and dynamic features. Then we load the data or into the survey models to get the answers. And then we do evaluation and analysis. So problem formulation and dataset. So this is based on all fully on the survival analysis. So the survival function is telling us that the survival rate is based, the survival probability of the restaurants is based on the probability of the time, which is time to closure or censoring. Okay, and then the dataset will be get, as I mentioned before, will be on the Google review, TripAdvisor, or Kaggle. So this is the proposed solutions, which is on how I'm going to do this. So the review text is on, we can extract the food, service, price, location, and ambience. And then we will get these things to get the per review aspect emotion score, and we'll look into the, to get the aspect emotions time series. Then we'll all get this data into the conditional survival for the baseline, and then we get the survival predictions, and then we do the evaluations, and then finally we get the review-derived signal bets prefer the restaurant survivals. So the expected result is on the aspect signals outperform the non-sentimental and overall sentiment basis baseline, consistent with the answers that get from Lee. And then central expectation is the emotional C5 as a value over polarity and variance. Dynamic emotions improve further on static. So finally is the feature importance reviews which aspect emotions are the most associated with the survival with the useful guidance. Okay, that's all for this presentation.